very much for joining us again for the Good Morning, Good People. I'm Brother Simeon Gallagher. I have been a Capuchin for 53 years, and come the end of August, I will be a priest for 50 years. So, as you know, St. Francis greeted everyone at the beginning of his little conferences here and there by saying, "Good morning, good people." I am stationed ordinarily at St. Francis of Assisi Friary in Denver, Colorado, but actually I'm in the midst of doing a parish mission here in Zephyr, Florida, which is outside of Tampa. And oddly enough, the name of this parish is St. Francis of Assisi. So I'm grateful to be able to send this to you from here, since I'm not returning home in time for this to be done at home in Denver. I find it very hard to believe that Lent is on the horizon, but next Wednesday, the 17th of February, begin this long and important liturgical season in the life of the Church. Of course, we want, like with everything else, to have a proper attitude as we enter into the season of Lent. And so where do we go to get a proper attitude? Well, if we think of Lent as a time when we give things up, you know, we don't do the candy, we don't do the dessert, we drink the scotch without the water and ice. Whatever our Lenten penance is going to be, I'm sure that if we go in that direction, it's going to be fine. But I would go back to a document that was written way back in the 1960s by Pope Paul VI, who was at that time the Pope and is now a canonized saint. He revised the sacrament of penance and changed the name to reconciliation. And he accompanied that revision of the sacrament with a famous, what we call apostolic letter called Penitentiae on penance. And the Holy Father stressed the importance of not thinking negatively, what am I going to give up, as much as to take something on. And I do believe that that's a way, an attitude that would be helpful for all of us as we enter into the season of Lent. To look at the way we deal with other people, to examine the attitudes with which we do our daily work, and to ask ourselves, is there something there that needs to be changed? And indeed, we do need, don't we, to change. One of the most beautiful letters that Pope Francis has sent to us is a small little encyclical called Fratelli Tutti, the Italian, meaning we're all in this together, we're all brethren. And he says that we're living, unfortunately, in a culture around the world that is ill, that is sick. And of course, what goes on in the culture has an enormous impact on the way we think and the way we live. And he said the culture is sick because we have succumbed to what he calls excessive individualism. I would call it alienation. We return to one another and we indicate by our attitudes and our behavior, I'm more important than you, and therefore you stand in line behind me because I'm number one and you are not. And in his beautiful little encyclical Fratelli Tutti, the Holy Father labels this as a cultural sickness. And when you examine the way many of us, if not all of us, behave in relationship to our families, in relationship to our marriages, in relationship to our friendships, and even those of us who live a Capuchin way of life, we can become very self-absorbed, very narcissistic, think of ourselves before we think of the rest of the gang. And it's hard to change that, but we have 6 weeks of Lent in order to attempt that. So I would say that rather than thinking about giving something up, maybe what we ought to do is take on, as Pope Paul said, a change of attitude, a transformation of thinking, and as much as possible to root out of ourselves this idea that I'm the center of the universe, I'm the center of the world, and everybody else around me has got to kowtow to the way I want things done. We have to be redeemed. We have to almost be rebaptized, because this narcissism, this self-absorption, this extreme individualism is destroying our ability to build a better world, and that's what our lives should be all about. So I thank you for joining us this morning, or whatever time of the day you're looking at this. I'm standing outside of this lovely church at the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe. There's a lovely, large Hispanic community, and wherever you have those good folks, you always have some image of the Blessed Mother, the apparition in Mexico of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So we can ask Our Lady, as we begin Lent this year, to help us to overcome excessive individualism, a thinking pattern that puts me at the center of the world, and take into consideration the other people who are on the journey with me. God bless you, and we'll see you around next time. Thank you.